Hey there. I am Ravensmaw, and I thought it would be cool if I walked you through me creating a adventure and really just a game session. I'm just going to create one game session for an upcoming game I have, and show you how to do that. How I do that, at least. All right, let's get started. Okay, let's see. You can see I've got Canto Investigations Incorporated as my campaign. I just made a kind of quick campaign here in my world called Roxrigal One-Shots. I'm in Quoth, by the way, so if you were to go to my world here, or my homepage, you'd see I've got a couple worlds, one that has nothing in it yet, and my upcoming sessions and things like that. So I'm in this world right there. And you can see I've got my campaign, my couple of players going on, and Canto Investigations. So I can create a new adventure in here. It could be one game, it could be a couple games. And we're going to call this a trip back home. Let's see. The players head back to Middletown, which is this town where they started their party up at, and we're going to start back there. This is just going to be a side quest. Nothing in particular there. We're going to put it in planning. I'm not going to worry about all this stuff yet here. We just need something simple to get me started. And I don't really have an image to add right now, but I could. You can see I've got, I can paste a link in there, or I can just upload an image and I can attribute it, AI generated, all that kind of stuff there. All right, so we'll create the adventure. And then I'm just going to be done at that point and go straight to the scene library, which is where it takes you. When you create an adventure, it's going to go straight to the scene library, where you can start creating scenes for your session. Because that's really what Quoth is about. Quoth is, I mean, there's all kinds of great world building apps out there. Quoth is about planning for your game. So we're going to create a quick scene here. All right. We're going to call this The Road. We'll call it 1. This label number 1, The Road. And what happens? And this is an event. It's not a is it a place? Maybe we name the road the Backforest Road. This is the lesser traveled road south of Roxrigal, just like my big city for this campaign, to Abinburgh, Beach, which is the little duchy that they're going to, the little area that they're going to, which is slightly to the north and to the west of Roxrigal. Not that anybody cares, right? So we can describe this to the players. All right, so I'm just going to put in sort of a placeholder right here. I'll describe the weather, and then let's do at least one encounter. That's two things I got to think about there, the weather and the road. So I'm actually going to add a table to this. We're going to, you know what? I've already got my weather table, so I'll just do that. So that's a table that I already created in Quoth, and you can see I can put in a number here as though I rolled it, 2 for sunny skies. So you can create any sort of random tables that you want in Quoth, custom tables and things like that. So I already created this one, so we'll create. We'll just. You can actually add it to your run screen when you add it in here. I'll show you that in just a second. We'll do that. I am going to show it on the run screen. We'll put it on table 2. And then I actually want to add another random table, and I'm going to create a new one. We're going to do a roll table, encounter table, and encounters on the roads outside of Roxrigal. And then maybe I can use this one in future travel episodes. I think that'll be kind of cool. So we'll do this I could do a D100, but that's going to take me a while to think through. I'm going to do a dice 6 table and one die 6 road bandits. Yeah, I can see. I can show you how that's going to work. See, if you type a 6 there, 4, so it's whatever we roll is going to come up. See. All right, that's really all I need. We're going to add that to the GM screen. You can see that's out of there now. We're going to link the codex entries there, Roxrigal. Oops. And I need to get Middle Tom going, so we'll have to add that. I can add some locales here, so we'll add a locale, and this is just something simple. We'll say a large oak with hanged man, and I can add as many others as I want to type in there. And then let's see. You can also add other things. So we can add a trap, random tables, rumors, right? So I can add that on the road. So we can actually add a rumor in case they actually do want to go out and maybe do a little adventuring. They don't have to make it there in one night. All right, so that's the road. I've got the weather in there. Describe the weather, one encounter on the road. And I'm not going to do any more with this right now. All right, let's go ahead and create a description. I'm actually going to move this stuff down. We'll put this in the GM notes. And what I'm going to describe to the players. The lesser traveled road south of Roxrigal to Edinburgh. The road is shadowed. It's good enough. That's good. Let's save that. All right. Now, you can see here, when I go into my scene, I've got this nice describe to players on my scene there. Pretty cool. And I can push that out to the players after I read it to them. So I can send that to the whole party or to a single player when they have a scene. So let's say you build a basement and the rogue wants to go into the basement, but nobody else wants to go into the basement. You can always just send it just to the rogue. So you can describe the scene to them either verbally, or you can just send it to them and let them read it, which is kind of cool. It's just going to pop up on their device. That's one of the cool things about Quoth. And if I find a good image, I'm going to use that. All right, we're going to save that. Backforest Road is now in there, and I am going to create a session for tomorrow. Let's go ahead and create this. This is session 2. This is the road to Middle Tom. And that's going to be, what, next week. And we're going to make that live because that's coming up next. Get that image there. At least they see something whenever they open it up, because players can see all the stuff that you share with them. So I'm going to create that session. And then I'm actually going to add this to the session. And click save. And you can see I also put that table in there. I've got my initiative table. That's always in there. And then I've got my weather table. So on the scene, I need to create another scene, and that's that fight. So we're going to add a new scene. We're going to create a scene here. We're going to call this scene 2, fight with the bandits. Players rolled 6. Right now, this is just my very, very quick thing here, but I am going to add, this needs to be an encounter. And that way, when I add an encounter and I click add to scene, so I need to save that real quick so that it knows that it's an encounter. It's going to be a monster. There we go. All right, so this is going to be a monster, and I only have a couple things in here, so we'll do +3. And we're actually going to call that Road Bandits. You could put in a pretty standard D&D stat set here. Pretty easy to do in Quoth. Everything's custom, so you can create it however you want. I have something really, really straightforward here for me, but I haven't really spent a whole lot of time on it yet. But I could do a lot more in here. This could be completely customized. And then I'm going to click Save. And you can see now I've got Road Bandits. And I can also add to characters. Save that. And if I go over here to characters now, and you can see Road Bandits is now there. And there's their stat, right? But that's not what I want to do. I don't really care. I mean, maybe I use the Road Bandits again. If I don't want to use it again, no big deal. What I want to do is I want to add them to my NPCs. I don't have any maps set up for it yet. But now I've got my two scenes. The Backforest Road, and I've got my Road Bandits, where they can do a quick combat if I want to. I can go ahead and set up my scene now as well for each of those encounters, like the merchant, who I might end up using again. And the cool thing is, I can always transfer that to another campaign or adventure by just going over to my scene library. And you can see A Trip Back to Home now has both these, and I can move this to another adventure if I wanted to. So when I create the Road Bandits, I can use it again and again and again and again, anytime I want, just by doing that. Okay, I'm actually back, because this is what happens to me whenever I plan a session. I go away and I come back and I think, I really want to flesh out the combat with the Road Bandits. And this is kind of cool. I've already added them to my characters and my codex, so later I can pull them out. But for this particular encounter, I want to go ahead and edit a little bit. Now, I can do this in a couple different ways. Here, I can do it right here in the session, so that's my best place to do it. So I'm going to hit right up here at the top. You'll see Run and Plan. Run gives you this more zine-looking kind of read view, right? So I can go back and forth between the scenes, just like I'm flipping pages in like a module. But I want to go ahead and do a plan on that. I'm going to click on Road Bandits and bring it up. All right, summary. The bandits, I'm going to change this. The bandits, the quail, sturm, bandit attack. That's my quick summary there. And they're a monster. I already put their basic stats in here. I could change this up. But the main thing I want to do is you hear 3 short whistles. All right, and I'll do this with a perception check. Let's do I'll ask him, do a full description here. In my GM notes, have the players make a perception check, and I'll do a party perception. And what I do for that is I do a average of all their perception rolls, and we'll see if they hear this. If they do, they will hear 3 short whistles. Okay, and that will give them an idea. Hey, you're being watched, right? There seems to be some movement in the trees. All right, pretty good there. And I think that's all I really need. Quillstorm Bandit attack and save. All right, I just thought of that. I wanted to kind of put that in, so I stuck that in there. And now when I go to the run page, you'll see now that's loaded in, and I've got that nice and clear so I can see it during the game. So if they roll that 6, we're going to be going into the Road Bandit attack. Pretty cool. All right, I'm done. All right, that's a lot. That's already a lot for this video. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And I'm Ravensmaw, and you're watching me create a one of my sessions in Quoth. Peace out.